Greetings, well builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Diversified Podcast. Today, I have a gentleman here who is knee-deep in the real estate space, expertise in tax mitigation strategies, and he's someone that I've invested with on more than one occasion. So I want to introduce Mr. Kevin Anderson to the show today. So Kevin, welcome to the show, brother. How we doing?
Hey, Brother Melvin, I'm doing great. Good to talk to you.
Same here, man. Good. Well, look, for the listeners out there, look, my journey into multifamily real estate, large dwellings, large buildings, it kind of kick-started my journey when I kind of communicated and chatted with Kevin at a seminar, and we got to know each other on a personal basis. And I was intrigued by a lot of the things that he was doing, some of the deals he were closing, some of the deals he were exiting, and I took really close to kind of getting to understanding some of the things that he were doing. You know, one of the first investments I did into any real estate syndication was actually Missouri City, Texas, thanks to this guy right here. So 312 units, that's a beautiful dwelling in Texas, and it has done me well from a tax mitigation strategy standpoint, as well as cash flow.
Yeah.
So Kevin, let me let you have the floor, share with individuals who you are and your journey into real estate and other diversified assets, and kind of tell the folks a little bit about yourself. So go ahead, sir.
Sure. Yeah, so I actually spent 20 years in corporate America, and actually 20 years ago, 2005, I was able to leave corporate America. My wife had a really good corporate job as well. So the plan was that I would get out and do real estate, get tax deductions to offset her income. And so that's what I did. Of course, things worked well till 2008, in which point, by the grace of God, we didn't lose our shirts. We kept everything intact. But obviously, the equity, we had about 20 single-family homes at the time, and we had a smaller 20-unit apartment building. So we lost a ton of equity, but we were hustling to keep the places rented. And so we kind of treaded water till about 2017. Actually, the next kind of momentous moment for us was in 2017, I got to meet Tom Wheelwright, who is the CPA for Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad fame, and was actually able to do a wealth strategy course with him and ultimately hired him as a CPA. But he's the one that introduced us to commercial real estate. At that point, we were just doing single family, and like I said, that 20-unit apartment building, but he talked about getting into units 60, 70 plus. You know, because we had corporate backgrounds, he said we would really do well because we're running a business. We're hiring property management firms and CPAs and others to run the business. Plus, he said, you're going to have more consistent cash flow. You're going to have hundreds of units instead of, 50 units. So if one person's out, it's not a big deal on cash flow. That we could, get 8% consistent cash flow back in those days. Do we wish we could do that now, right?
Yeah. Hey, look, totally. Times are changing and rates are shifting. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, at the end of the day, the numbers need to work. But no, totally agree.
But cash flow, consistent cash flow. He talked about the bigger tax breaks with doing cost segregation, which I know your listeners know about, and then also just higher total returns, approximating 20% a year between the growth and the cash flow. So At that point, we started aggressively investing passively in multifamily, and then from there we got into self-storage, mobile home communities, and then Tom introduced us to oil and gas because that's a great way, especially for W-2 employees, to offset that tax bill. And we can talk more about that later.
Okay.
So, and then, we joined this community, the community where you and I met. Tom introduced us to that community. And through that community, we were able to meet people like us, corporate people, lawyers, doctors, people that were doing things, looking to accelerate their wealth building. And so we were able to find two different families that had the same goals as us. We bought two properties, about 2 years later after we joined the group. And we wanted to get experience actually successfully managing properties. And then after that 2 years, after about 30 months, we successfully sold one of those properties. And then at that point, we decided to, and that was a great property. We had a 5.6 equity multiple. But given our successes, but also learning more about what we liked and didn't like, we decided to start syndicating and bring in investors. So 2021 is when we started syndicating, and we've done several syndications since then. We've done another joint venture, and now we've actually gone into the fund management world because we've actually brought in people on a multifamily syndication that we are not managing ourselves. We also brought people into a paving company roll-up. A small private equity firm is rolling up paving companies in the Southwest. They're going to buy them at a 3 to 4 equity multiple. They're looking to exit at a 5 or 6 equity multiple. So our investors will make 4 to 5 times X on their money over that 6-year period. And then we're doing 2 private credit deals. One of them where we are bringing investors in a rehab fund that is investing where professional rehabbers are rehabbing commercial and residential property. And then we have another fund we're bringing people into, a mobile home transformation fund, where, as you probably know, it's hard to get bank financing, but this fund will allow park owners as well as people that are renters, allow them to more easily acquire and renovate mobile homes. So that's our journey. We're now, syndicators as well as fund managers. And personally, we're in probably 50 to 60, limited partnership investments as well across different segments.
50 to 60. So a true transformation of diversification at its best. You've really kind of matriculated along the way, and you're getting your hands into a lot of different things, man. That's fantastic to hear, man, that you're so diversified across so many different facets, man. So, I mean, what would you say? You mentioned the journey, right? You started off, corporate, right? And you made changes. You decided to make a decision, and it paid off for you long term. So, for you, there many of our listeners got corporate jobs, right? Thinking about potentially going out on their own, man. When was that aha moment for you, right? When you're like, hey, look, we can really forward our trajectory real quickly outside of the traditional 9 to 5 traditional landscape. You want to share with that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, I was always like a wealth building geek. So I'm always, trying to see what are different, wealth building strategies. And so like most of us in multifamily commercial real estate, we read the Purple Book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that was kind of the spark. From a mindset standpoint, I was also into Tony Robbins back in those days. Yeah. Personal development, and so that kind of gave me the mindset of, dreaming big. And then also Tony's about taking massive action. So, as I was reading the Rich Dad, Poor Dad stuff, and I read Cash Flow Quadrant by Kiyosaki after that, the light bulb went off in terms of, passive income. I think it was, what's his name? What's the billionaire? Our most famous billionaire, Warren Buffett. Buffett said, if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you'll work the rest of your life. Yeah. So it's stuff like that really hit me, Kiyosaki's book. So it was like, you really got to do this. Like I said, we had the fortune of my wife having a good corporate job. which allowed me to get off and then build up some income, had the runway to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But really, you gotta get the mindset stuff somehow. Like today, it wouldn't be. I mean, Robbins is still out there, but today it's like Ed Milet and Brendan Bouchard and people like that. But you can still go and read Tony's stuff too. But you got to get your mindset different. You got to get your education in terms of, what this whole space, what I call it, the passive income space. It's all about income stacking, right? It's about, it's not about home runs. It's about singles and doubles. Because if you try to do a home run and it doesn't go well, you get wiped out. So, part of the reason why we've got, 50, 60 passive or total investments is that, we don't want to be wiped out by 1 or 2 or 3 deals.
Gotcha.
But that's really how we got down the path, and then just kind of taking action. And so one level was Tony Robbins, the Purple Book, Cash Flow Quadrant. That got me into single family homes, but it didn't stop there. The next level was Tom Wheelwright, commercial real estate, big tax reduction strategies. So it's also a never-ending learning process, right?
Indeed. No, look, totally understand in terms of continuous improvement, never-ending learning, right? We've just had huge tax law changes. You ask probably an average Joe out there how many folks are even interested in even reading that tax bill to understand what they can do to improve their position. You're probably going to get out of 10 individuals, you're probably going to get 7 or 8 no's. They're not going to read 948 pages. In that case, right, I mean, why not hire a tax consultant to help you with your respective situation so you can benefit, right? As entrepreneurs, who you are, myself also included, right? Huge opportunity to really improve your position, improve your tax, the amount of tax that you owe, and just strategies that are in place for folks to take. I mean, the opportunities are there. They are there and then some.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.